All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sports Wire. I am Vinny Apicella. I am now joined with my guest at this time, the Mac.
What's going on?
How are you today?
I'm doing good, doing good. Thank you for having me on here.
All right, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, no problem at all.
We just saw a clip of you doing a full Nelson bomb drop, leg drop combination.
Yeah, that was from a triple threat we had at our 4-year anniversary show last August. I like to call it one of my favorite matches. Myself against the Juice, JT Dunn, and Sebastian Swap from Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a great match, awesome crowd that night. So lots of energy. I can't even explain the rush that you get when you're in there.
Nice. Now you wrestle for the CTWE, and they're centered in Bethany, Connecticut.
Yes.
Do you guys run a lot of your shows in Bethany?
Majority of all the shows are in Bethany. They're usually done at the Bethany Town Hall.
Okay.
I know we have a big announcement. I'm not even going to spoil it right now.
Okay.
That's going to be done. We actually have a show tomorrow night in Bethany at the Bethany Town Hall, 40 Peck Road. It's going to be Bethany Battle. That's the name of the show. Heroes Emerge. Myself and my tag team partner, Ant Battle, we call him the Party Tank. We're also known as the After Party. We'll be taking on Team Tremendous, who kind of have like a little cop gimmick going on right now. So should be a fun match. We just coming off the height of our last show, which was our first internet pay-per-view, which was Bricomania 5. Ton of matches on the card. We had former WWE superstars Bobby Lashley and Trent Beretta. I know I can announce one thing for August, our big 5-year anniversary show. We've already had it announced where it's going to be Kevin Nash, Rhino, a couple Ring of Honor guys, Michael Elgin, Eddie Edwards, former WWE talent Derek Bateman, who just got recent release, and Dragon Gate USA wrestler and champion Johnny Gargano.
Wow, impressive roster.
Yes, we've it's grown, and it's not just CTWE. There's a lot of wrestling going on in Connecticut, especially in the month of August. I'm pretty much wrestling almost every weekend, so I'm going to be tired.
You work for more than just the
Yes. That's the good thing about being on independence. You can work for a number of promotions. There's a ton of great independent wrestling out there. Currently in the New England area. Just last week, I was in Bridgewater, Massachusetts, with Beyond Wrestling. A great roster. Crowd is more interactive. I also wrestle for Eastern Wrestling Alliance, EWA, out of Springfield, Agawam area, as well as New England Frontier Wrestling. They're out of Chicopee, Massachusetts. And there are a ton more like out of Rhode Island, and also other parts of Mass as well. ISW, Interspecies Wrestling. Interspecies Wrestling. It's a totally different feel. I remember I went to my first ISW show years ago, and I was like, this is weird, it's crazy, it's different, and I like it.
Okay.
Actually, their last show, I actually wrestled a giant panda.
Really?
I wrestled a giant panda. It was very interesting. Very interesting.
All right. Well, we're going to have to look into that ISW wrestling, interspecies wrestling. I'll have to mark that down somewhere.
And yeah, it's definitely, they bring a lot to the table. I know they have their next show in Connecticut is going to be in Danbury. I believe it's November 16th, which is going to be Burger King of the Ring 2 Double Whopper.
Okay.
It's having fun. And that's the one thing I love about wrestling. When you're having fun, it's amazing when you can interact with the crowd.
Do you think you have more fun being in the independents rather than, let's say, getting a contract from the WWE or TNA?
I mean, that's every guy's dream. Every guy's dream is to, make it to the big time, make it to WWE, get that big contract. And then there are some, kind of like myself, I enjoy just being on independence. I have more interaction with the fans. It's a lot less stress on my body as, WWE superstars. They're constantly on the road, 4 times out the whole entire week. Going from here to here and missing out on family time and other stuff. With being on the independence, still have time for my family. My regular life outside of the ring,
right?
As well as being able to travel to different places in the same process.
So, what drew you to what got you into wrestling in the first place?
Wrestling for me, I've been a fan since I was a kid. I really had to thank my uncle when I was a kid. Whenever my parents would have to go out, they leave me at my grandma's. My uncle lived with my grandmother at the time, and whenever we were there, we'd just sit and watch TV. TV, and the first thing that's on was wrestling. So old school. I'm from down south. I'm originally from Virginia, and
So
we
you
watch.
were in NWA territory.
Yeah, NWA territory. A lot of Turner, WCW, and then WWF on Saturday mornings or whenever it got syndicated out. So I was a huge fan. At the time growing up, I was like a Junkyard Dog and Ric Flair type of guy, and loved it to death. And for a while, I kind of had a period where I kind of fell out of love with it. I was like, I can't do it, and then it kind of re-sparked like mid-90s and came back. And ever since then, even my mom to this day, she's like, I'll be glad when you get over this phase. It's just like her catchphrase. I'm just like, my dad's just like, yeah, it's not going anywhere. So it's pretty much, it's my passion. It's what I love to do. Couldn't ask for anything more.
Great. That's great that you're living your dream. And so who have been some of your influences in terms of your wrestling style?
For me, my style, I'm pretty much. I can't say I'm a high flyer. I can't do it. Can't do it.
So you're not someone like your doppelganger, Kofi Kingston.
No. Trust me. I've heard the Kofi Kingston fight many times. I remember one of my first matches. Everybody was like, "Oh, he's gonna do the whole Kofi Kingston thing." I'm like, no, not. Not. I'm more comedic, so I like having fun. I'm more like the Jimmy Valiant. More of even from the world of sport from in the UK, like Les Kellett. I just like to have fun of a match. Even Dusty Rhodes, he has some really good serious matches, but he also has some fun in matches, and that's what I like to bring to the table. I like to dance. I like to interact with the crowd. It's a wonderful feeling, and also it takes a less pain on my body. So
is your tag team almost like Goldust and Booker T, a la early 2000s?
It's actually kind of funny. The guy in the video that you saw earlier that I did the full Nelson on, JT Dunn, me and him were a tag team, and he had other obligations that came up. So what happened is the last minute, me and Ant got put together. And at first we were like, well, this is going to be kind of weird. But then all of a sudden it meshed together. He kind of came into the whole party gimmick, has a huge confetti outfit. And it's been going ever since. The crowd's been loving it ever since. And they're even asking when the T-shirts come out. And I'm like, give it some time, it takes time. But we're having a blast. And hopefully we're going to get another shot at getting our tag team titles back.
Great. So who are you guys fighting tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're going against Dan Barry and Bill Carr, formerly known as Team Tremendous, but now called, I believe, Tremendous Investigations, Inc., because they have this whole cock gimmick. Like, Dan now has this whole thing where he kind of goes for like a Magnum PI kind of look, and it's kind of like a good cop, bad cop type of deal. Okay. And Bill Carr, he's a huge guy. I mean, like, scary. But like I said, it should be a good match tomorrow, and hopefully, after this match, it kind of boosts us up back to getting a rematch for our tag team titles.
Awesome. All right, so if there's before I get to what I was going to say, let me ask you something. Did you ever do any amateur wrestling or collegiate style wrestling in your schooling or whatever?
It's always funny whenever I tell people I wrestle. The first thing they come to mind, people that aren't really into pro wrestling. When I tell them I wrestle, the first thing they'll say is they'll ask that same question. Were you collegiate or anything like that? I'm gonna tell you right now, I was the most non-athletic person in high school or college.
Wow.
I was probably in high school, I was like a stick figure. I played no sports. The closest thing to sports I had, I was on the basketball team for 4 years as a manager, and then. College, I didn't do anything. I partied, I went to class, and that's all I can remember at this point, and that's all. So, but yeah, no, I wasn't really that much of an athlete going into it. Even my dad, when I grew up, my dad tried to get me into everything. He tried to get me into football. He tried to get me into basketball, baseball, and I was just like, I'm not the athletic one. My brothers used to run track. I tried it. I was like, it's not for me. I'm just going to sit over here. I did band for 1 year, and that didn't really even go good either. So I was just like, it's going to take me a while to find my niche. In the meantime, I'm going to go over here and watch wrestling. That's what it pretty much was with me. So
what happened? How did you become an athletic wrestler?
It all started before I moved here, probably about 5 years ago. I was living in North Carolina, and the local gym I went to had a lot of local wrestlers, promotion down there, CWF Mid-Atlantic, based out of Burlington, North Carolina. And a lot of the wrestlers down there, they went to the gym. I was kind of at that point, you know, when you're young in your 20s, you can eat like anything, and then all of a sudden finally catches up to you, and you're like, okay, where'd this spare tire come from around my waist? So I went ahead and just started working out, started losing the weight. They had a ring that was in the back. They let me practice a little bit. They'd show me how to bump around the ring. I would go to the shows, help out, put out chairs, help out, you know, with tickets and whatnot. And then eventually I ended up getting a job up here, and I kind of took a year off because, you know, brand new to a job, you know, you don't want to, you know, press your buttons or anything like that. And then I found out that somebody else in my job, they wrestled too. And he, to this day, he's actually still my mentor, who is Kurt Adonis, who is, as much as I want to be there tomorrow night, because I'm wrestling at CTWE tomorrow in Fairhaven, Mass. Kurt Adonis is getting inducted into the New England Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Oh, nice.
Yep, and he's getting inducted by Ron Zombie. A lot of people that might know Northeast Wrestling know exactly what I'm talking about.
He's pretty much a Rob Zombie lookalike, only he's a wrestler.
Oh, yeah, Ron Zombie, yep. But Kurt got me into it. I went to a couple of his shows for Northeast. After that, he saw how much I had a passion for it. So I got introduced to Kevin Landry and Antonio Thomas. Kevin Landry, he used to be in WWE Developmental back in the late 90s. He's kind of like in the class with like Kurt Angle when they first started out and all those type of guys. And then Antonio Thomas, who used to be Antonio from the Heartthrobs from WWE mid-2000s. Trained with them for about a year in Chicopee, Mass. And I had my first show, and I can always remember the date of my first show. It's always the worst. It was kind of the worst date to ever have to make your debut. Of course, it was in 2010 on September 11th of all days. I was like, okay, so this is the.
I thought you were going to say Friday the 13th.
Well, no, not even that. It would just suck because I remember when I first had to post about like, I had my first match on September 11th. I'm like, this is not good. But yeah, my first match. I remember the day before I left for that first match. I was nervous as I don't know what, because I'm like, you know, this is my first time in front of a crowd, you know, first time I ever had to wear tights in front of a crowd, you know.
Yeah.
And then I was still trying to figure out, you know, who I was as a character. Of course, everybody tried to throw like, oh, do the Kofi Kingston, do the Jamaican gimmick. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. I have too many West Indian friends that are going to like cuss me out if I end up doing it, because they know I am nowhere close to being West Indian. So I ended up, as I was racing out of the house, I was trying to look around and see like, what can I use for a gimmick and whatnot. And I went to a friend of mine, her son had a birthday party the week before, and they had like these little glow up light LED glasses with the rocker shades. I grabbed them and just threw them in my bag. So my match was a tag team match. I was going against the Purists. It was me and a guy named Jeremy Leary. And pretty much my first match, I did no more than locked up with a guy, just did a shoulder tack on him, pinned him, tagged my partner in, and that was my first match. The most that happened after that was I got hit and knocked off the apron, and that was it. But the thing was, it wasn't even the match. What made it amazing is my entrance. I just happened to randomly pick of all songs. I picked like an LMFAO song, and of course the song is Shots, which is real popular. If you ever been to like any bar karaoke or whatever. And I just did it just for the heck of it. Next thing I knew, as soon as that happened, I came out. I put those glasses on just for the heck of it, just to say that. I came out, got the crowd jumping, and it was explosive first. They were like, everybody was just up in an uproar and everything. And after I got done with my first match, I came in the back. And when I came in the back through the curtain, the whole locker room just came out, and they were like, they just looked at me, and I'm like, did I do something wrong? I'm like, I didn't hurt anybody. I'm like, I did everything I was supposed to. Yeah. And they were like, I've never seen anybody. They were like, for somebody who made their first debut, they've never seen a crowd react to somebody making their debut like that. Really? And the thing is like, I told them like it wasn't even character. That's just me, just being myself, going out there having a good time, and just being able to interact with the crowd. And ever since then, it's been taking on that people when they hear that song now. I've even heard people. I've had people come up to me randomly like, you know what? I was somewhere like out in Vegas or California or in New York. I heard that song. First person I think of, bam, you know.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
that's pretty awesome.
yeah,
You've
when
got that kind of following.
Yeah, it's a good impact. Still to this day, I still give out the glasses. At least one pair. Right when I come out, I pick at least one kid. I've done everything from kids to adults to senior citizens to one of my favorites is definitely special needs kids.
Yeah.
I always like to make them feel special, part of the show, because they're one of our biggest supporters.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And they're the ones that are actually appreciate what you do.
Yeah. It's amazing. That's the one thing I love more than anything, being on the Independence. Fan interaction. I've met so many people with so many stories. I met probably months ago. There was a kid with autism who never really. Her family said like she never. Oh, actually, he never really reacted to anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when he saw me come out, the glasses, having a good time, they were like, that's the first time he's like ever smiled and just had a really good time. And those are the moments that make you say, like, this is why I do this. This is why I love what I do. I've had kids just randomly, they'll come up, hug me, and even though I might have lost and got my behind beaten, the kids would come by and just give you hugs and, appreciation and so much respect from the fans, and it's amazing the reaction that we get.
Awesome. That's actually just absolutely awesome. I love to hear when you guys are giving it back to the fans, because I've met a couple of WWE guys that were really snotty to their fans, and it's like you wouldn't be here without the support of the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to name any names. But still, it's been a great interview. I can't believe the 20 minutes is up already.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow, we've been going on like that.
Yeah, exactly. But I did want to ask you. Lately, through Twitter, there's actually been an ongoing debate. Some people in the internet wrestling community. Who do you think, in your eyes, is better? Just if their prime was in the same era, Bret Hart or CM Punk?
Old versus new, fantasy warfare. If I had to pick anything, I'd probably go with Bret, because Bret's more of a technical prowess. Punk, he has a technical prowess too. I could say they're equally matched, but Bret has a lineage of wrestling from his father Stu Hart, training in the dungeon, from a line of brothers he was able to work with. And Punk, his is kind of like a little bit of technical mixed with a little martial arts in the process. But the smarter game is from a technical aspect. So I'll probably say Bret Hart. It's always kind of hard when you get asked questions, like now versus then and stuff like that all the time. So,
okay, well, the Mac, definitely check it out tomorrow. What's the information for the show again tomorrow? At the
tomorrow,
Town Hall? Or Bethany Town Hall?
Tomorrow it's Bethany Town Hall, 40 Peck Road, Bethany Battle, Heroes of Merch, CTWE. That's happening tomorrow night, and then next week, actually, CTW has its one-time. We do this every year at the Briley Campgrounds in Ashford, Connecticut. Mm-hmm. We have a special outdoor show at the campground. That's going to be happening at 2 p.m. and Briley Campground in Ashford, Connecticut, starting at 2 p.m. All the information is available at ctweprowrestling.com. Mm-hmm. That same day, I'm actually going to be wrestling later on that night in Southbury, Connecticut for Northeast Wrestling, and they have Marty Jannetty and Ron Simmons.
Oh, nice.
They'll be on the show as well as Matt Taven, the current Ring of Honor television champion. And then in August, big schedule, New England Frontier Wrestling, having shows in Chicopee and also in Waterbury. The Waterbury one's going to be on August 17th. And so far we've got confirmed. We got Tony Atlas. We got Zack Ryder's buddy, the Big O. Mm-hmm. And then on August 24th, we have a huge show for CTWE, which is our 5-year anniversary. Once again, we have Kevin Nash, Rhino, Michael Elgin from ROH, Eddie Edwards from ROH, Homicide.
From TNA?
Yep, formerly from TNA. Yep. Derek Bateman formerly from NXT from WWE, and Johnny Gargano from Dragon Gate USA Wrestling. That's going to be a huge show, and that one's still going to be in Bethany, but it's going to be at a location which will be announced tomorrow at Bethany Battle. So please stay tuned. And for me, just make sure you can follow me on Twitter, JessKMac. Facebook, you can just look me up underneath the Mac, THEMAC. I got a fan page and also have a Facebook profile.
And all this information will be up on our As Seen on TV link on sportsmanentertainment.com. Mac, I'd definitely like to thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, no problem.